Welcome to the Survivor's Chair podcast, a podcast where we break down our stories and our trauma, understanding how they have impacted our career and our life. This is a place where we break free from shame, own our truth, and step into our power, one story at a time. Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 28 of the Survivor's Chair podcast. I have to chuckle because I've just spent the last half an hour trying to get organized, be in the right lighting. Half my head was gone. And, with these virtual backgrounds, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm winging it every day. And so I just have to laugh because I've just finally said, you know what? You can eat your 10th piece of Christmas crack, or you can just hit record and it is what it is. So here I am. It is what it is. If you're watching this video and you can see my entire head in my face, that's awesome. If you're listening and not watching, you don't have to worry about that. So folks, here we are. Here we are at the end of the year. And what happens at the end of the year? Eek. Everybody starts with look at all these fabulous things I've done this year, and look at all the fabulous things my kids have done this year, and look at all the fabulous things my partner's done this year, and look at all the fabulous things and my business has done and achieved. And sometimes, this might sound like it's on repeat, but sometimes all you can really do is survive. And the worst thing we can do is scroll through those highlight reels. Every time I look at some of those, I think, come on. Isn't there a bump in the road anywhere that anybody can share? Because we don't live in roses and butterflies all the time. I don't know. It's just such a fake world. And I'm not saying that you have to be woe is me and down and out all the time, because that's not reality either. But life is funny, right? Life throws us curveballs. It could be the stupidest curveball, as you're excited to go out and get some shopping done and your car battery dies, or you get a flat tire, or that's a curveball. And it all depends what we do with that curveball, right? And sometimes they're big curveballs, like my curveball of cancer was a giant curveball. And being the overachiever that I am, again, I'm going to argue the overachiever thing. If you've listened to previous episodes, I'm just not sure if I'm the overachiever that I always was, or it was pure survival mode. And there's part of me that believes that it was just pure survival mode. And now I'm kind of getting into my real self. It's not that high stress, regimented place that I was in before. The more I reflect on who I was and who I'm becoming and who I am right in this very moment, which I don't think it's who I'm meant to be just yet. I still think there's work to be done. My entire life, everything I did was extreme and intense. The way I worked was extreme and intense, long hours, running a business, doing it all myself, never asking for help, never delegating, never outsourcing. I had to do it all. The way I cared for people was intense. Never, ever, ever letting them do anything for themselves. I was going to be the one that was going to take care of everything. The way I exercised, also intense. From triathlons to Tough Mudders to extreme 50-mile hikes to ultimately doing an Ironman triathlon. Everything I did, I had to be more, and it had to be more intense, right? And I think the place that I'm in now is I don't want any of that intensity, because that intensity feels like stress. What I didn't realize is that I was putting myself through an immense amount of stress and pressure all the time. But that's what felt normal. So where I'm at right now doesn't feel normal, although I don't think it's my normal yet. I think as the pendulum goes, it swung so far to the intense version of me that now it's so far to the not intense version of me. But the pendulum is more, I need it to be more in the middle. And I think that's coming. It's definitely coming. I have my ups, downs, lefts, and rights still. I just didn't realize how friggin' extreme I really was from the second I laid my head on the pillow while I slept. I was extreme. I was so stressed out. My head never relaxed and laid on the pillow. Everything was tense at all times. And I mistook that as motivation and dedication and drive and what else? I don't know, think of a million different words for that. But as we come into this new year, the old me creeps in, right? Because the old me is not gone. The old me creeps in and starts to look at, my gosh, what have I really done this year? And I have to stop myself in my tracks because what I've really done this year is heal my body and mind. Not only that, just try to adjust to this new me that I am or that I'm becoming. Last episode was about getting out of survival mode, or episode 26. And I really truly feel that that's where I am. That extreme was just survival for me for my entire life. I don't know anything different. So now I'm trying to learn something different. I think I said it's like learning how to walk again. But you can't help when this time of year rolls around, just like me eating my 10th piece of Christmas crack. If you've never tried that, you should or shouldn't. I'm not sure. I probably shouldn't ever have it again. As I'm putting it in my mouth, I'm like, oh no, it's going to be different next week because the calendar is going to turn to another year and everything's going to be different, right? No, it's really not. If the Christmas crack is in front of me, I'm going to want a piece of it. That's just how it goes. But again, we put this immense amount of pressure on ourselves when this calendar year flips that that's it. You're going to be a better person. You're going to get healthier. You're going to work out every day. You're going to eat healthy. You're going to be kinder. You're going to reach out more to your friends. You're going to spend more time with your family. You're going to love harder. You're going to get rid of that job that you hate or get rid of that relationship that's not serving you or whatever. And let's just be real here. Is that really reality? No, it's not reality. And I don't know if I sound like want want right now, kind of Debbie Downer, but as I approach this end of the year podcast, it's more about let's be real. Like, what can we realistically do without getting stressed out, without putting pressure on ourselves, without people pleasing other people, without trying to reach the expectations of what other people in society expect from us? Because I do think that that's what most of us do most of the time. We're very, very busy trying to prove ourselves to other people or what society expects from us. And as women, because I'm always going to pinpoint women, we do it all. We do it all. You take care of the kids, you clean the house, you cook the food, you do the grocery shopping, you work, you volunteer, you take care of parents. The list goes on and on and on. And when you stop, again, I'm going back to episode 26. It's like, how did I do it? How did I do it? So when we go into this new year, how about we don't do that? How about we don't get better at doing the laundry, get better at a schedule, unless you're scheduling time for yourself, then I want that to happen, but we won't do that. So if you schedule, a half a day once a week, life creeps into that. Maybe your kids have something come up. So you go, forget that. I'll do it another time. Or, something comes up and you just blow it off. How about we don't do that this year? How about we don't blow ourselves off this year? Whatever that looks like for you, if that's that one thing, like going for a walk or something. My body got a real beating during chemo, and it's very hard to work out because when I work out, I feel like I'm in so much pain for days afterwards. But it's getting better. So one day at a time. But I'm gonna go into this new year like I went into November, like I went into December, like when I went into October, being a little bit kinder to myself, less stressed out, not putting things on my plate that stress me out. Sometimes we need the year to rest, to reinvent, to reset, recharge, clean out, declutter. We need time for that stuff. And if you're on this kind of, healing journey along with me, and I don't even really like to call it a healing journey so much, it's more about just coming home to yourself, getting to know yourself for the first time, or maybe going back to the person that you were. One of the qualities that I missed about myself amidst all the responsibility and the caretaking was having fun. Like, I forgot to have fun. I forgot how to have fun. Everything became such a big responsibility and so stressful that I really forgot to have fun. So that's one of the things that I'm doing is how do I have fun? And how do I have fun that's different how I used to have fun? Because when I had fun before, it always involved drinking, and not drinking since my diagnosis has made me really think about like, what is fun now for me? How does it work? Again, I'm just trying to figure it out. I don't know. And so I think the one thing about the drinking is I don't want to become that non-smoker, that is annoying. you know, I want people to drink, have fun, do what they're going to do. But for me, it's like, oh my gosh, like what didn't I do that involved drinking? So that's a whole new concept for me, but I want to have fun. And it's learning to have fun without the alcohol. I'll share a story with you that the concert I went to right before I found out I had cancer was Pink, who's my absolute all-time favorite. The first concert I went to right after I finished chemo was Pink. Now, the concert I went to before I started chemo was completely different. I was drinking, I was dancing, it was fun, singing at the top of my lungs, all the things. It's like the alcohol gave me that permission. And then when I went to the one after I finished chemo, I felt like an alien. Felt like I was in somebody else's body. I didn't know what to do without having a drink in my hand. I had a water, thank God. I didn't know how to move my body. I didn't know how to dance. I felt awkward singing. And I kept saying, get out of your head and just have fun. But it was almost like I didn't know how to. And coming off of this traumatic experience, still not feeling good and all that, like all of that together, I didn't know how to have fun. I didn't know how to live in this body that I had. And now I'm going to flash forward to going to the Early Bird Dance Club. If you haven't heard of that, check it out. I don't know where you are, but they're all over the country. And it's dancing for women or anybody who identifies as a woman. I might have even talked about it in one of the podcasts. I don't remember. It goes from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And their tagline is because we have shit to do in the morning, which I love that. I was like, you know what? You got to do fun things. I got tickets. I went with my two oldest best friends, if you're listening. It was so fun. And for the first time, I felt back in my body again. Like I felt me again. I felt comfortable again. The second we walked in, we danced and danced until, 10 o'clock until they closed. But it was about the feeling I had, that feeling I had at that second Pink concert where I just didn't feel like myself. I felt so awkward. And I know if my friend is listening to this, she had no idea, which is good. I never felt so not myself. And then to be able to go to this dance party and realize just how far I've come. So as we go into this end of the year podcast, that's one of the things that I would like to remind everybody is to really sit down, take the time and think about how far you've come. And even if it's just having an awareness that you've been struggling, and that's as far as it goes, that is growth, my friend. That is growth. That is awakening. You are becoming aware of you in ways that maybe you don't like. That's okay, or you're not comfortable with. But the best part about that is now that you're aware, you can then make the changes, do the things with zero pressure. The thing is, we know what we need. We always know what we need, but we don't listen. We don't listen to our body. We don't listen to it when we're stressed out. We just don't listen. So if you're at the beginning of this process and you can take the time to sit and listen, and I know it's hard because when you do that, lots of stuff comes up, lots of questions come up, lots of uncertainty comes up. You start to question everything in your life. Like, I get it. I know it's hard. So just don't sit in it. Don't sit in that moment forever. Sit in it for a minute and then come back to it and sit in it again and then come back to it. The more that we spend our life pushing through, avoiding, hiding from, running from, exercising from, eating from, drinking from, the more that we do all of those things, and those of us who do those things know we're doing those things, right? That's not everybody, but that was me. That was me. I mean, like I said, I just put 10 pieces of Christmas crack in my mouth. I was getting stressed out about this podcast. And then finally I had to say to myself, you know what? Let it go. Sit down and do the podcast. Just do it. And it's not about whether half your hair's in the video or not. It's about what I say and whether it's going to resonate with somebody that's listening and maybe help them a little bit, right? That's it. That's what it's about. So when you roll into this new year, I want you to have no pressure on yourself, none. And I don't want you to feel pressure from, I say from other people, but like I have said in many podcasts, we are the root. We are the ones in control. People don't have the power to make us feel a certain way. People can have expectations, like high expectations and too much, maybe. Like, how can we do this? How can we do that? But they don't have the power to make you feel the pressure. You have the power for that. And you have the power to say, sorry, not going to happen. I used to feel like I had to jump when that text came in, or when somebody called me, or I got an email, or somebody needed me, or there was 5 parties and I had to go to all 5 parties. And I felt like I had to jump and be there for everything and everybody. And I don't feel that anymore. And I don't feel guilty about not being there. And everything in my life has changed drastically over the last few years. And everything as far as me, my thoughts, my plans, my wants, needs, everything has changed over the past few years. And that's okay. It's okay. And I want you to give you permission, because sometimes that's all we need is permission. So I'm going to give you permission to go into the next year without New Year's resolutions, without goals, without, I'm going to say, unrealistic goals. You can have a normal goal. And I sound like I'm not the goal person, but, and maybe I'm not right now. I don't know. But I went into every year, I found my word of the year. What was it going to be? What were my 5 goals going to be? So, all right, I'm going to back up just a little bit. Something I did with my employees, something I did with most of the people in my life, the younger generation, is I sat down with them and I always said to keep 5 goals on a piece of paper, no more than that. It can be a few, it can be less than that, but no more than that. And, cross it off when you get there. And it can be any goal. The goal can be, I want to wake up for me. How about this? I want to wake up and stretch for 15 minutes before I start my day. And right now, I feel like that's the only goal I could have on there, because that's about as far as I want to reach. Unbelievable, right? But I never, ever, ever wanted anybody to have more than 5 goals, because then it just gets overwhelming and it gets unattainable. I think realistic goals for me, which are the same as they were in November, the same as they were in October, is to finish my book and catch up on my classes and make sure I relax. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself as far as food, diet, exercise, because I feel like at this stage of my life, I'm doing the best I can. And sometimes the best you can is the best. So release the pressure. We are the only ones putting the pressure on ourselves. Nobody else is putting any pressure on you. Nobody. And if you're like me and you're just kind of surviving, that's progress. As much as you don't see it, that's progress. The stuff that people don't see, that's not in the highlight reel, that's progress. The hard days that you get through that nobody else sees, that's progress. The uncertainty, the questions that go unanswered, that get answered, that's progress. So do not for a second think that you have not done anything this past year. Do not. Just because the Instagram highlight reel says that this person did everything. They did everything right. They ate right. They worked out right. Their business is right. Their family is right. Their kids are right. Their relationships are right. I don't buy it. I mean, I don't buy it when I see it. I think that what we're missing in this life is authenticity. We are missing it. People need it, want it, crave it. We want to know that we're not alone. We want to know that there's other people that have a hard time getting up and stretching every day. I want to know, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And and that's the other thing. This is episode 28. I have been at this since May 1st. I am pretty excited about that. And I will celebrate that. So how about we have an exercise? How about we do that for the beginning of the year? How about you get a piece of paper and you celebrate everything you did this year? And if that is surviving, write that down. And I want you to know that you never, ever, ever have to prove yourself or prove anything to anybody, even yourself. You just don't. You don't have to put that Instagram reel up. As I've said before, rest is vital. Rest is the most important thing I could have done for myself these past couple years. Rest, recharge, recalibrate. It's the best thing I could have done. And I'm getting ready to emerge into my new or old. I don't know if it's old and I just never connected with it, or if it's new, a new self. I don't know, but I'm ready. And I do know now that some times in our life are meant for sitting. I know that's very hard if you're in it. And I've told you this a million times. I would never have stopped doing what I was doing if it wasn't for cancer. And I think my ultimate goal is to make sure that you don't wait for something massive to rock your world, to slow down, to reconnect with yourself, or connect for the first time. All that crap that we're carrying around with us our whole entire lives based on our beginnings and our childhood, and we don't even realize it. There's no guilt. There's no guilt at the end of the year. We're not going to feel guilty about not doing this, that, or the other thing. The year was the year. That's what it was. And because it was supposed to be that way, whatever it was. And if that was sitting, that was sitting. Remember, productivity does not dictate your value or your worth. That comes from the inside, not from the outside. But so many of us keep going and keep going and keep doing and keep achieving because we're looking for that proof that we're worthy, right? Guilty of it for so many years. And I'm saying that you're allowed to go into this new year softly, gently, without expectations, without pressure. And, maybe you're like me, maybe you're learning to have fun again, and it feels good. And you're exactly where you're supposed to be. I know that sounds so cliche and kind of silly, but it's so true. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be in my life right now. And sometimes you got to surrender to that. And it doesn't mean that you stop moving forward. It just might look a little different. So on that note, my friends, I'm going to wish everybody a happy new year. I hope you had an amazing holiday. Let's just roll right into 2026 gently and see what the next year brings. All right, my friends, until next time, I will see you in the Survivor's Chair. Thank you for tuning into the Survivor's Chair podcast. You can head over to my website, www.kimrussellpro.com. That's KIMRUSSELLPRO.com. You can catch up on my blogs. Follow me on social, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or TikTok. All the links will be in the show notes, and I'll see you next time in the Survivor's Chair.